Okay, we're back. We're live. It must be Energy Monday today. We have a lot of energy today. And here in the 4 to 5 block, we're doing again Hawaii, the state of clean energy. Title of our show is Taking Stock of Solar, and you'll see what I mean. We have on Skype from San Francisco Paula Mints. She's the founder and chief market research analyst of the global solar market research firm called SPV Market Research. Website spvmarketresearch.com. And we have a picture of her on the screen. Thank you for joining us, Paula Mints.
Gosh, Jay, thanks for asking. I'm enjoying it so far.
And we have a special surprise in the studio. Let's call it a studio surprise. We have Keith Cronin from SunHedge, who knows Paula. See, the whole world of solar is all connected. So say hi, Keith.
Hi, Paula. How are you doing? Long time no see.
I'm doing fine, Keith. How are you?
Every day's a gift.
So we're gonna make this a three-way conversation. Let's start with our guest of honor, that is Paula Mints. And can you spend a few minutes telling us how you got to be a solar energy market research person? Where did it start for you? Where did you first get on the trail, and where did the trail take you?
Well, boy, so I was born in a small cabin. No kidding. So
born at a young age, huh?
Yeah, born at a young age, even younger. So I sort of fell into the photovoltaic industry, solar industry, like a kind of a hole in the ground. I got my MBA, and I was focused all through college and other work on, market research. And then I went to work at a series of startups. Anyone who's ever been at a startup knows that you essentially do everything. So at one point, I decided I wanted to focus on an industry and a technology sector, and know everything about it that I could possibly know. That was actually a childhood dream, to know everything. That was what I wanted to do.
Did you have training that related to this dream?
Exactly. I focused on statistics courses and market research courses and research courses and business courses. Anyway, so around that time, that was 1997, my former boss at Strategies Unlimited, Bob Johnson, who, believe me, at one point was the guy that you went to in solar for serious market research, was looking for somebody. He'd been through 6 people in 2 years, so he was a taskmaster, I will say that.
Right.
Went home every night and cried for the first 6 months. But anyway, he hired me, and 6 months in, after I stopped crying, because believe me, he didn't edit on computers, right? He would take my work and he would mark it up in red pen, and I would get my reports back and my analyses back so covered in red ink that I could not read what I had written. I couldn't read what he wrote either, so it was kind of interesting.
That's a lose-lose.
After about 6 months, I fell in love with the analysis of this industry. So there's nothing a market researcher. Market research is essentially the study of the behavior of an industry, technology sector, market, whatever, yada, 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 through data. So you're looking at trends over time, and I was lucky to start at a company that had started analyzing the solar industry from a primary research standpoint in 1974. So that's a lot of data. That's a lot of behavior. That's real. You're able to identify some true trends. So I fell in love with that. This is, I'm sure Keith would agree, kind of a wacky little industry. It's like a small town still. And interesting behavior, lots of constraints, lots of problems. But I also genuinely fell in love with the technology, with the pioneers that I got to know, the people that really got the industry to where it is now, where we can all enjoy it, that struggled through the really lean times, even though solar has a lot of lean times, and also how the technology can genuinely change lives. For example, solar home system, a photovoltaic system in the developing world in the rural areas really does change lives, opens up the world to populations. And that's really how I got into it.
Well, I looked at your website and your blog and all that, and the one thing that struck me, which I want to ask you about first, is
did it strike you? Did it hurt when
people
it struck?
actually pay those prices for subscriptions to your newsletter? Do they actually pay those prices for copies of your market research articles? I won't mention them on the air, but suffice to say I had to sit down after I saw the level of prices. I mean,
take my word for it. I'm cheap. I'm cheap and easy. Pardon me. No, I'm actually very inexpensive, and I give back a lot to the industry. I do a lot of pro bono work. I'm on a lot of committees. I help out startups. I'm a startup. Somebody help me. Hey, please help me. But anyway, no, I'm actually very reasonable. For what you get, report-wise, if you're talking about the big reports, which I'll just say the price, my annual supply report, my annual demand report sell for $5,500 each. And that's an in-depth analysis of the supply side of the industry and then again the demand side of the industry. And it's, the demand report that I finished in August is 240 pages. Mostly data analysis, trend analysis, etc. Yeah, they're worth it.
Okay, well, no, if they pay, they pay. But let me ask you this: what can you give me the sort of the profile of your average customer who signs up, and what is in there that has that value for him, and how he uses or she uses that information in business to make a return on the investment in the newsletter?
Well, the newsletter, it's not really a newsletter, by the way. I don't do a newsletter. I do a bi-monthly report called the Solar Flare, and those are anywhere from 25 to 50 pages each, also, again, an analysis of the industry. So the value for people should buy market research, not because they want to learn what they already know or be told what they believe.
Right.
You should buy market research because you want to have a consistent source of information about what the market is doing, where the market might be going, but basically have someone who's focused on me or somebody else who's focused on doing their work consistently. The methodology is consistent. There's a history to it, so that you can look at their analyses going forward and use it to help you make business decisions. And that's how people should use market research.
Well, let me ask you for a fact. Just a seductive fact that might be in your report, which would cry out for me to get the report and to use and then tell me how I would use that report in my business. Make me a hypothetical Mr. Potato Man kind of subscriber.
Well, to be honest with you, if you were in the solar industry, you would already know the value. So, they're all, my customers are all types. They are manufacturers of solar, although most of the manufacturing is in one specific region now. So they're manufacturers of solar modules and cells and, wafers, polysilicon. They are manufacturers of, components in the manufacturing process, They're suppliers of consumables, again, components that make up the module, back sheets, materials. They want to know things. They're also, I don't have customers on the demand side mostly because I survey people on the demand side, and so I've essentially promised that for their help with my survey work, they get the bi-monthly report. Mm-hmm. So, but there are people looking to get into the industry, sometimes investors. There's stuff I won't do, so I don't get it. Somebody who allows me to survey them for data, which keeps me in business and also keeps my life's work, which is what I really think of this as, mm-hmm. going. I never reveal any of their information. So there's a whole host of work that I have to pass on simply because I've given my word. But basically, that sort of describes my basic customer, and they're looking for insight. They're looking for someone like me who does genuinely nothing but this. Yeah. Focused on the survey work, focused on the research. He's been doing it for a very long time. I'm probably I'll just go ahead and say oldest at this point at basically 18 years doing this out there now. So they're coming to me for insights. They want to know, should I stay in the business? Should I get in the business? What direction should my business go? They want to know, how can I get a better market share? They want to know what's going on with the technologies. If they're buying the shipment report, they genuinely want to understand the manufacturing side of the industry, who shipped what where. And again, my reputation is a conservative market research analyst focused on a consistent methodology, and the methodology's been in place longer than I've been in place. It's been in place 40 years at this point. So that would be the type of people that buy my stuff.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting that Hawaii is still young in this area, and this is kind of important, I think, for people in Hawaii. I'm not sure which side of it more than the other side of it right now, but and I find it interesting that Marco Mangelsdorf, who more than anyone I know is making research on what's going on in solar, and of course there's Keith here. How do you know these guys? How do you know Marco and Keith? Maybe I should ask Keith to explain his side of that question.
Be nice, Keith.
Well, well, I think Paula's been in the business probably about 2 years longer than I have. I've been about 16 years officially, and I think unofficially since probably 93, 94, 95, when I ventured out to a real energy fair out in the middle of a cornfield in Wisconsin where people had, tie-dye shirts and long beards. So I think the industry's matured a lot, as I think Paula would attest to. But I think back to the data, and I think having somebody that's objective, that understands the industry, that can gather this data in a very scientific way, in a very methodical way, is really important to the industry, because it's separating people that have scuttlebug ideas or issues versus somebody that's actually gathering this data in a very discreet way that can share it with everybody. And I think for the price of the report, when someone's trying to make a business decision, and again, when we look at solar projects in general, they're in the tens of millions of dollars at times. So to make a small investment in Paula's product, I'm here to endorse a product. I don't get any money for saying that, but I believe in the data is really important. And people that are in business need data in order to make decisions, not just this quarter, but next year. And as Paula can probably ascribe, as we've seen compound annual growth rate and solar panel prices drop precipitously over the last 7 years, 6 years, 5 years. And to have someone that's either on that or ahead of that is really critical if you're making business decisions, whether you want to go to a different country, whether you want to develop in your own country, and where you're going to put your money to work. Because if you work with investors in the solar business, and most people are, you want to know where they're going to put that money, and is it going to be the best place to put it, or are they going to lose that money? So I think Paula provides a very valuable service in the industry that a lot of people don't think really even understands, and I'm glad she's on the show today.
Well, you're a consultant and a recruiter in solar. Do you use the information that Paula provides? How would you use it?
I think, as she says, making business decisions, whether you can be buy different panels.
So when you consult, you'd like to know what Paula's saying about at least the supply side anyway.
Absolutely.
Or the demand side, I'm sorry.
I think on both sides. You need to understand, where the manufacturer is. She might have insight to a manufacturer that's can't ramp up supply. And why is that? Because they might have issues on the manufacturing side with equipment, or they actually might have better pricing this way they're going to be able to ramp up. So she's going to have insights of things I don't think developers are going to understand, financiers are going to understand. So they're going to basically use the information she's providing as a valuable tool in forecasting.
I get a stock letter, Paula, and they tell me what's going up and what's going down, and they tell me what they think is going to happen, and they tell me why. And I wonder where that fits in your reports. I mean, if I'm, say, for example, a supplier, and I want to make a multi-million-dollar decision about making more or less, I want to know more than just how the trends are. I want to know why, so I can extend my thinking beyond the trends or into the trends, so that I can, develop a level of confidence. How does that work? What I mean is, do you tell why?
So, first of all, Keith, wow, I love you. Marry me. Hey, can I hire you? Yes, obviously, yes. It's not just, first of all, a trend is an analysis, right? Right now, unfortunately, in the world, and I'm sure Keith would agree with this, the trends are not fads. Fads are very short term. Fads are also actually important to assess. If you're planning a business, you want to know if there's something going to come along and just upset all your plans, even if it's only going to last for like 6 months. But there is a difference. So I would say my value add is again, consistent methodology over time, methodology that's actually been in place for 40 years. And the whole point is to understand the market and be able to really assess and discuss and analyze the behavior. So your clients can take a look at that and they can say, all right, so I'm making the decision to add more capacity, but are people, let's just say China, are manufacturers in China going to add capacity? Are their prices going to be lower than mine? Am I going to be able to make any money off capacity that I'm adding? Or since it's very expensive to add it, am I going to lose my what? So my analysis, my insights into the market should help you make a decision to maybe not make a decision, maybe to say no to that decision. Unfortunately, a lot of people do buy market research, which can be, because they really want to be told what they think already, and I don't do that. So in terms, if you line me up competitively with someone who's willing to say, yeah, that's a really good idea, and me who's willing to say, okay, here are all the risks. There's a list of 25 risks and 5 good things that could happen, but the risks are outweighing your 5 good things. I'm probably going to lose out to the guy who says, yeah, it's a wonderful idea.
So you're going to provide me with various vectors and factors and considerations where I can do some thinking myself as well. It's not limited to sort of a mechanical statement.
No, I'm not going to. No, it's not. Definitely, it's market research isn't just about the data. It's about the analysis of the data. The data you get is actually an analysis. Explaining the data is important. Talking about what the implications are. When you're talking to specific clients, talking about what the implications to them, For example, if I have someone's providing, say, a component to the module and they're competing with lower prices elsewhere, they need to know that. You need to be able to take a look at where things, costs are going, prices are going, what they're really doing, and you need to understand, will I be able to make a buck in this industry that is so hard to make a buck in? Even though I love it, it can be a brutal industry on you, for you. I mean, even for me, it's really highly competitive. So do you want to be told, yeah, great, you're going to be able to reach that cost point that is ridiculously low? Or do you want to be able to be told, this is what's realistic and what you can expect, how long it's going to take you to start up your facility, how long it's going to take you to actually produce, commercial product, what you will probably be competing with out there? Trust me, the best way to forecast the future is actually history, because history will repeat again and again and again and again. If there's anything market research teaches you, is that behavior is, it's patterns, and those patterns will repeat again and again and again and again and again. So.
Well, yeah, but a couple of questions flow. Number one is when you send out the reports, the articles, what have you, the blogs, and somebody like Keith, for example, says, well, that's valuable, but Paula, I want to talk to Paula. I'm sitting here looking at your picture, and I do want to talk to you. So I want to talk to her. I want to get her on the phone, a cup of coffee, lunch. I fly to San Francisco just to have 5 minutes so she can answer my, very pointed questions about one fact or another that I'm not sure of, and I have a big decision based on this. So, Paula, can I call you? Is that part of market research and analysis? Can I come and see you and have a coffee with you? Or are you limited to the website and, the reports?
Of course not. No. I mean, my subscription clients, so full subscription clients, or even, the full subscription clients get everything I do, report-wise. Articles I don't get paid for. I actually have chosen never to take money for the articles I write, and that's primarily because once you start taking money for that kind of thing, I've found over time that first of all, you don't make that much money, and second of all, people edit sometimes the actual facts out of what you're writing, so I prefer to control that by not taking any money. Anyway, but my subscription clients, my full subscription clients, get they get a quarterly call with me. They get everything I do. If they need, I'm there for their success. If they need me, they can pick up the phone and call me anytime. And they get a certain amount of hours that they can use annually for a special project. And I don't charge that much, again, trust me. For the solar flare clients, the bi-monthly report, they still get the quarterly call. And then I have clients who want special projects. They're outside the scope of what I'm doing, and those are different prices. They're, trust me, nowhere near what large consulting and large market research companies charge. Nowhere near. You also get people who really just want to talk to you for 30 minutes. So I don't have like a slot on me anywhere. You drop a coin and I'll talk to people. It's my business, it's my life, and it's very important to me that people in this industry be in the industry for the right reasons, for my own personal love of it, and second of all, that they're successful. So if I can have a conversation with somebody for a half an hour and help them make a decision based on a half an hour conversation, then I'll do it. We're all in this industry together, wouldn't you say, Keith?
I would agree.
Yeah. Well, but tell us how you really feel. I'm only kidding. That's Paula Mints. She's SPV Market Research in San Francisco. She joins us by Skype audio, and we have here in the studio Keith Cronin with SunHedge, and they know each other. Now we're going to take a short break. We're going to come right back, and we're going to ask Paula and Keith how they factor in the less numerical aspects of the business, the more political aspects of the business, the more, we're going to say, hard to quantify aspects. We'll be right back.
Aloha, welcome to ThinkTech Hawaii. My name is Josh Green. I'm the host of a program called Healthcare in Hawaii. I'm a physician. I work in the emergency department on the Big Island. I also serve in the state senate, which, please don't hold that against me, doesn't detract from my television program. We speak about all the big healthcare issues in the state. We get together on Tuesdays from 2 o'clock till 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and we try to talk about the most important issues in healthcare. This is a terrific venue for people to learn about healthcare. There are many programs on this station. We broadcast it later, not just on the internet, but also on OC16. Thanks for joining us. Please be informed healthcare consumers.
Okay, we're back. We're live. That was refreshing. We have Paula Mints, SPV Market Research, and Keith Cronin, SunHedge. And Paula is in San Francisco on Skype, and Keith is right here in the studio. Look, you can see them both. What a great picture. We got a great production engineer in there, makes this happen. That's Zuri Bender. Anyway, so here we are in Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We're taking stock of solar, and I ask you both, I should start with you, Keith. Hawaii, politics are so qualitative. I mean, gee whiz. How do you know from moment to moment what those guys are going to do or not? How do you factor that into consulting with your clients? How do you factor that in with making hard decisions? How do you stay current with that?
I think it really depends upon what you're doing in the business. So in my instance or my circumstance, in working with large-scale developers, international developers trying to come to Hawaii, they kind of know there's two different things. There's the political risk and there's the utility risk. So the utility risk is, what's the process? On the political risk, I think that's less of an issue because we have this legislative cycle that happens every year. So around December, everybody starts huddling on what are going to be the issues, what kind of bills are going to be written, and what kind of things does the industry want. And then we kind of traverse through 6 committees, then down the conference committee in May, and we figure out what our fate is. A lot of times it's kind of like a soap opera. We don't know what's going to happen till the bitter end.
I'd call it kabuki, but hey, if you want to call it soap opera, that's fine.
So there's two different things. And then on the utility side, that's even probably less predictable than we would see at the legislative level. So our situation here, as it relates to doing consulting for business, as it relates to development, is much different than recruiting, which is the other thing I do, which is really about finding people, companies that need to find people in diverse areas.
So, Paula, I mean, Hawaii is special. I myself have no idea whether, the political process, the political expectations in other states, or for that matter, the federal government is, different, and to the extent it is different, how different is it? And, we live in a very political environment here. And I wonder how you catch up with us here in Hawaii, and assuming you're covering that, and other states and the federal government. I mean, it must make your head spin, for one thing.
Well, on a personal note, the last election has made my head spin completely around.
Yeah.
But as an analyst, I'm a global analyst, so I'm following the incentives, the political changes, the economic changes. So part of market research should be, and a big part, should be the macro and micro economic, factors that surround your industry. So it's not, if you just look at your industry in a vacuum, you're not going to be able to analyze anything. So there's the macro, micro economic factors. And there's also, so at its heart, market research is economics. It's data. And
Sure.
And then there's you're absolutely right, because it's the vagaries of the political systems globally. Seriously, you have to understand the culture. So let's take China, for example. In China, there's a central government that's very strong and makes all the decisions. When they say they're going to do something, they tend to do something, and they very seldom make mistakes. So they have done exactly what they said they're going to do. Then you have the, provincial governments, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In the United States, we have what we ended up with after the last election, for one thing. But you have essentially state-run. It's state by state by state. So I have to keep abreast of what's going on a state level and what's going on at a federal level. I have to look at whether or not there's going to be gridlock. Right now, the ITC is a big, huge thing. Given the changes in the makeup of Congress, and particularly the Senate, the likelihood of, I have to take a look at, say, the ITC, which right now is 30%, and I have to say, what are the odds of that actually being, extended at 30%? I have to make a judgment call. I have to make numerous, at least one or two scenarios of what could happen if it does, what can happen if it doesn't. And I have to take that all the way back to understanding the way the industry operates. Large projects, call them utility scale, call them multi-megawatt, call them whatever you want, take a very long time to develop before you even get started building them. So development activity has slowed because of uncertainty over the ITC. So I have to keep a general idea, I have to keep my eye out on all of that. And again, this is all I do. All I do.
Well, let me make it worse. So for example, our show last hour was about, we called it the perfect energy home, and it's about one local but very substantial home builder here, and exactly what he's planning to do in the future with energy efficient products, including solar. And so his moves will be relevant, but then also the moves of the government allowing housing development and making the land available and entitlements available, is all relevant to how much solar will go in, and all kinds of issues like that. But it goes further, I think. It goes to other kinds of renewables also, and it goes further than that. It goes to non-renewables. It goes to the price of oil. Certainly, if oil's down to late 70s now, middle 70s, that's got to have an effect. It goes to the price of coal, I suppose. It goes to all the technology. You follow all of that? How do you do that?
I follow all of that. I follow the price of, well, first of all, from someone who's, price analysis does go back to 1974, I can tell you this. Anybody who assumed a long time ago that oil would consistently go up, 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 while other things went consistently down, 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 was making a foolish assumption, because price is a market function, and it's easily manipulated. Cost is a different thing. Price is a market function. So I watch the price of coal. I watch the price of natural gas right now, very significantly.
Oh, yeah.
Oil should not make too much of a difference, by the way, for the, the photovoltaic industry, et cetera, but the perception of cheap oil does make a difference. You also have to look all the way to, what consumers think. And recently, this year, I did some end user research, some actually significant mind-numbing when it comes to the data entry, consumer research, and that was quite illuminating. So if you're looking at, Fred, who owns his house and may want to control his energy costs, which is typically why they go solar. The environment is usually part of a reason, but not the main reason. Then what is interesting them? If there's something that tells the energy consumer or the electricity consumer that prices may not go up in the future, they may hold off on that decision. And unfortunately, oil, which has more to do with what you put in your car than what you put on your roof, does affect perceptions.
Yeah, you've got to be in touch with all of it. But let me look at Hawaii for a minute, which you must cover. I mean, I say that in both a factual and normative sense. You must cover Hawaii because Hawaii is, some kind of frontier of solar in terms of penetration and all that, and the political interest in energy, excuse the expression, that goes into solar here is phenomenal. So I'll begin with my question to Keith. Where is it going from where you stand as a consultant? Where is it going? We have so many issues. We have so many roadblocks in play. It's so hard to tell, but where do you think solar is going? If I'm a supplier, say an American manufacturer of inverters, for example, where do I point my investment right now?
Good question. I think one of the world's largest microinverter manufacturers, I think Enphase, they've had probably the largest penetration here per capita. They have another company called Vivint Solar, which actually came out in their 10Q that was their largest consumer of their product. So they've had a lot of success in Hawaii. Moving forward, again, it's really predicated on the utility opening up the grid and getting the political will moving that forward now that we have a new governor. So, and we also have the political will of the governor maybe influencing the Public Utility Commission to encourage the utility to adopt more non-firm energy resources. So there's a couple different steps, and I was sure Paula's research is going to indicate that. So I think we definitely have some headwinds, and as it relates to the price of oil, I think it is a perception. I think it's true. And oil definitely impacts probably the Hawaii consumer more than any consumer, because throughout the country they usually have coal or natural gas or propane as an example, or nuclear, where in Hawaii we don't have nuclear, we don't have natural gas, we don't burn propane. So oil does play into future electric bills. So with oil being at $75 a barrel, let's just say today, in the futures market where the utility buys oil, we'll probably see a little lag in the cost per kilowatt hour drop probably by February. So we're always going to be a little bit impacted by oil as it relates to the cost per barrel.
Are you guys in competition, or are you in collaboration, or both?
We're in the same industry.
That's right. Yeah. We're here to help. I think she said it earlier, and I think we even said it in our show last week. We're all here to help. We're all part of the solution.
Exactly.
All
I mean, it's true. I do a lot of pro bono work. When I present, I don't know, Keith, if you've seen me recently, I give a lot of information because it's not just important to me it is important to me for my business to thrive, right? But it's also important to me that my industry thrives. And that means I help a lot, not because I'm a good person, just because it really means something to me. And I know, Keith, you feel the same way. It means something to you. This is an industry that's really important.
Yeah. Well, it strikes me also that you want to maintain an informational network, and to give is also, it's a two-way street. And you need to know everything that's going on in every place you cover, which is global. And I suppose that would make me passionate about the subject too, to think that I could have a run at actually understanding a global process. That's pretty exciting. That's pretty exciting stuff. And also with a technology that is obviously, going to have global effect, already having global effect. So that's why I put this question to you, Paula. Where's it all going? I mean, from where you stand, let's ask you the exquisite question. Where is solar going? Should I be investing in solar companies now? Should I put PV on my roof, or should I wait? What do I do?
You should put it on your roof. I can't tell you anything about investing. I'm not a stock analyst. That's a different job. Yeah, you should definitely put it on your roof. So here's the thing. Solar has been, on both the supply and demand side, a very difficult industry to make a buck in. Low margins. You've got one region, one country controlling over 51% of supply and driving the prices down to unsustainable levels if you're a manufacturer. So we've had manufacturer failures. You have squeeze there. They have significant constraints on the developer side. So this is an industry that is really tough to make a buck in. But if you look around at what we've done to our environment, I mean, honestly, if we do not change our ways, if we do not learn to value as a species electricity and energy differently, conserve, use renewables, eschew the, I'm not a conventional energy gal, right? Okay, we need to change. This is an energy revolution. It's going to be very slow and hard fought because the winds against it, coal, nuclear, which I don't consider renewable, natural gas, oil, they're fighting against us. And they have a lot of money behind them and deeply entrenched subsidies. And we are struggling along this tiny little industry, us and the other renewables, to do something that will save the planet. Seriously. We have to be able to breathe air. Our children have to be able to breathe air. We have to be able to be sustainable with the world we've been given. And unfortunately, that's not necessarily a value that most people hold dear. So, to me, so I'm getting off on a tirade here. To me, what I do is really important, because what I do is give the facts and the analysis of the facts to people that are making decisions in this really hard to make a buck, brutal industry, so they can keep going to get to the point where we cross that tip and we're over 50% renewables and less than 50% conventional energy, driving down to maybe nothing. Do we really need to flip the light switch every time we're bored and we want a little light in the room? Seriously. So what I'm doing, I really do think is crucial.
Yes, I agree. And I think we know your secret now.
On a tangent.
we know your secret. You want the industry to survive and thrive. That's what you want to. That's what you.
That is, and that's why honestly my prices are low, because I don't necessarily, the values I hold dear, which aside from supporting my niece and my cats and myself, are, supporting my industry in terms of doing the work I think can really help people make good decisions. That's very important to me. Got to make a buck at it, but
I hope we can talk to you again about this, Paula, from time to time, because we're a nonprofit and we feel the same way, and I would like to be able to check in with you just as I check in with Marco Mangelsdorf on a regular basis, and also with Keith right here. So thank you very much for exposing us to SPV Market Research and to the notion of market research on solar. Thank you, Keith, also for telling us how things are doing in Hawaii and where you and the SunHedge fit.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Aloha. We'll be back for more. Next hour, we're going to talk about software for the sciences. It has nothing to do, but it does have something to do. It all comes together. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Keith. Aloha.
Thank you.
Bye.